Hi all, this is Jan Almighty and welcome to this video. So yeah, it's been a while, so a couple of days since I've been posting anything, so I haven't been recording, making, uploading any videos, and it's all due to this World Cup craziness that has been happening, Croatia being in the finals, in the end losing against France, and yeah, just the whole celebration type thing. So yesterday I was in Zagreb. I was one of the many people welcoming our players, our team, the whole guys, the staff and everything in Zagreb on the main square. It was a very nice celebration. I really enjoyed it. And I had some mixed feelings, of course, after the finals. Of course, it is not yeah, it's not the best thing to lose a game, especially if it's in the finals, since you're just like that one step away from actually winning the whole thing. And yeah, Croatia just got a few unlucky breaks, and it is what it is. It just happens. But that moment when I saw them on that bus coming up onto the main square, yeah, it was really nice to see them so happy, and everybody was in celebration. You had so many people, so I saw reports of 500,000 people actually coming to the square and to the city, to the capital of Zagreb, to walk on the streets and just cheer for our players. And to put it in its perspective, 500,000 people is actually 1/8 of the population of Croatia. So quite a lot of amount of people, and yeah, that's pretty much it I'm going to say about this topic. The World Cup is finished. Yeah, football watching for some months is finished, and once again, congratulations to the guys. Second place in the world, definitely a very good achievement. And yeah, that being said, let's go back into this video. So this is the one I've been preparing for a while. Way back, a month, I would say a month before, I said I'm going to make a lot of Capablanca videos and maybe some other videos on the 1914 St Petersburg Tournament. So that's what I'm doing right now. Here is a nice game from round 2. I actually already showed 2 games from Capablanca playing, so in the round 1 and round 3, and probably I'm going to make a playlist from this tournament. So this is from round 2, and here we have Nimzowitsch, who lost in round 1 against Capablanca, now playing against the world champion at that point, so in 1914, which was Emanuel Lasker. And one other thing, this is the first game I'm showing from Lasker on this channel. And let's just jump into the game. We have e4, Nimzowitsch replies with c6, so we have the Ka2 on the board. And after d4, d5, knight to c3, pawn captures, knight to e4, we have a situation where Nimzowitsch tells that he doesn't want to go into any bishop to f5 or knight to d7 ideas, because he thinks both of those lines are thoroughly, both of the lines are just thoroughly, people have been going through them and analyzing them and everything. So a white pretty much knows how to approach those positions, and he wants to have an active position, so for chances on both sides, and this is why he plays a knight to f6. And this is something I agree with even today. Knight to f6 is something that I like sometimes to play to counter the Ka2. No, not to counter the Ka2, but to counter the usual variations in the Ka2. So here, Lasker continues with knight captures and pawn from g captures on f6. So very important. Black captures with the g pawn here on f6. It is not a thing of capturing towards the center. It is just a thing of opening up the g file for the rook and making it harder for white to actually go in castle kingside. Now we have bishop to e2, and once again, a move that you don't see very often. Bishop to e2 is an idea. It isn't something that is played that often with white, because it didn't really have that much success over the years. Of course, it had some, but not too many. Bishop to e2 with an idea here from Lasker to put it to f3, because most of the time white players, not white players, but players with white play knight to f3. But okay, Lasker has a different idea, so we have bishop to f5 and bishop to f3. At the moment, not really doing anything with the bishop, maybe preparing d5, but let's see what happened in the game. First, queen to a5. a definite necessary resource in the Caro-Kann, here forcing white to play c3, which was played in the game, and now making it definitely difficult for white to actually go and castle either kingside because of the open g file, or queenside because of the ruined structure and having this bishop on this diagonal. So Nimzowitsch really has an idea how to approach this game, for the moment at least from the opening, and he definitely ensures also that idea with playing a move such as h5. Here sacrificing the pawn, so ruining definite possibilities for white to actually go castle kingside and then continue with the development. And Lasker does capture on h5. So bishop captures on h5 and now knight to d7. So giving up the pawn, but for the price of development. Bishop to g4, bishop captures and queen captures. And now queenside castle. So black is the first one to castle. Now Nimzowitsch actually has to prove that sacrificing the h-pawn was worth it. Here, what you want to do, of course, you want to develop your pieces, because that is the best way how to approach the position, the primary directive of a chess game. Develop your pieces. Knight to e2. We have e6, unpinning this knight, and bishop to f4. And now a little bit of a provocation from Nimzowicz's side, queen to b5. Kind of forcing white to go queenside castle to defend this pawn at the same time. And it's a very, very nice move to make, because as you might say, you do strike two birds with one stone. I think it's the English saying. So defending the pawn and also castling. But as you can see, the current position of the pawns doesn't seem that queenside castle is all that safe. I mean, for the moment it will be, but black will not have too much problems actually attacking on this side of the board. While white, on the other hand, yeah, we shall see. But here, also b3 could have been played, but Lasker decided to go queenside castle. And now we have a knight to b6. A possibility was to play queen to d5 immediately, because you want to attack this pawn, and if king to b1, then you have this queen to e4 check, king to a1 and e5. And all of a sudden, white is in big troubles, because the bishop is attacked. You cannot play f3 to attack the queen, because you lose the knight here. I mean, that is the best move that you can make, but in the end you will lose a piece, and yeah, black will be just better here. So here, after queen to d5, you would have to play something like a3, but then knight to b6, and as you can see, queen to b3 is coming, a knight to c4 or knight to a4, and black is in a much better position here. So instead, okay, it was possible, but here after queenside castle, we saw knight to b6, knight to g3, and now queen to d5. This idea, okay, king to b1 was played, stops queen to e4, but allows another thing, queen captures on g2. So I'm not sure if with knight to g3 Lasker did blunder a pawn, or he just gave it up, because at this moment I don't think it was really possible to defend everything. So here he gave up one pawn. But immediately in the next move, he played rook from d to g1 and just give up the another as well. Queen to f2. So as you can see, even a world champion can blunder a pawn as easy as this. So rook from d to g1 simply shows that black can capture a pawn. A much better move was, of course, something like h4, because if you capture now, rook to d2 is your main problem. Here, the black queen is trapped. She cannot go anywhere, and you have to play something like rook to g8 to attack white's queen as well. And after queen captures on f4, white is left with the exchange and a passed h-pawn. And you probably all know that this would be enough for the win. So here h4 was one of the better moves, but we saw a rook from d to g1. Queen to f2, knight to e4 attacking the queen, and now queen to h4. So now, since you're a pawn up, you can go exchange queens. But Lasker, of course, plays queen to f3, avoiding that. And now a move that kind of shows, I wouldn't say it kind of shows, but maybe is a decision move. Are you really going for that win, and are you really playing the right moves, or you're playing what you think are the best moves? Knight to c4 was played, and knight to c4 is always a nice move to see in the situation. Of course, you're not really making any threats, but you're putting your knight on a very active square, And the thing is, with this move, what next with the knight? The thing is, okay, you're attacking this pawn. If you, for some reason, provocate the white enough to push b3, then you will have a very nice attack. Bishop to a3, knight to a3. It's all, yeah, then it will be only a matter of time when black will actually go and win this game. But on the other hand, in my opinion, knight to d5 was a much better move to make in this position, because after knight to c4, white doesn't have to react to anything here. But after knight to d5, your bishop is attacked, and you can slowly but surely start with the pushing of the pawns and then just break through in the center, because this is something that black needs to do. But okay, knight to c4 was played, and now king to a1. Knight to d2 wasn't a threat in the near future, but probably this was the reason why king to a1 was played. f5 attacking the knight, and now bishop to g5 is kind of slow, because queen to e4, and after these exchanges you have this, and black has two pieces for a rook, so not a very good situation. So you have to play knight to g5, and we have the nice move bishop to d6, the absolute best move in the position, which kind of prevents every threat that white has. If knight to f7, once again bishop to f4, when you capture one of the rooks, black is up once again. No, he is not up, but he has two pieces for a rook, a very nice situation. So here, once again, you cannot do this, and of course if you capture the bishop, then knight captures on d6, defends this pawn. Once again, black is better, he has that pawn. So here bishop to c1 was played. Lasker definitely wants to keep the tension in the game, because he doesn't want to exchange pieces. This would lead to a worse endgame for him, and yeah, just for a lost game. So here rook to d7 now, defending the f7 pawn, and we have a rook to g2. White starts to double up. Bishop to c7, rook from h to g1, and now knight to d6, remaneuvering the knight towards the active, much better central square. This is why I was also mentioning knight to d5. It will be a much better have a centralizing knight. Queen to e2, and now knight to e4. Queen to e2 was played so that you can allow square for the knight to come to f3. Here queen to h5 was a very good move, which could have been played by Nimzowitsch, just spinning the knight and making threats, maybe going for some f6 ideas, also connecting the rooks and then trying to exchange. But here he played queen to h3, which also attacks the knight, but doesn't have the same effect like queen to h5, pinning the knight. a3, making room for the king, and now a6. And this is the move where I first started doubting Nimzovich's plans. Because you might think, of course, you want to put the pawns on the light square since you have a dark square bishop, but in all sense, this move is kind of too slow. Because what you would like to do as soon as possible, play moves such as f6, putting the rook on the e file, yeah, or even on f file, pushing the pawns forward, and then just creating something out of this position. You're a pawn up, and you're the one who actually needs to go forward in position. Nimzowitsch here plays a6, and after bishop to a3, he plays rook from h to d8. Once again, just continuing this set of moves, which don't really threaten anything. You cannot imagine pushing either of the pawns at the moment, and then even if the d file opens up, that one of your rooks will actually come somewhere here. Because, yeah, those pieces are really holding everything in the white's position. But here we saw king to a2, and yeah, the thing I was fearing, rook back to h8. Not sure if this is the best way how to repeat moves, but it is something Nimzowitsch has done, and it kind of gave the idea that he doesn't really have the plan how to proceed with the situation. We have king to a1, rook back to here, to d8, king to a2, and now rook to e8. So probably preparing e5. And this is why Lasker plays rook to g8, rook captures, and rook to d8. We have rook to g7 attacking the pawn, rook to d7, once again, a couple of repetitions, and here in this situation, rook to f8. And okay, now since Lasker is the one who decided to trade off the rooks, Nimzowitsch is one step closer to winning the game. But now, once again, he needs to make a plan. Here white plays c4, which was really strange to me because there was nothing wrong. Of course, okay, you want to move the pawns away from the dark squares, but still you don't want to be the one pushing the pawns since you're the pawn down. And here a move that kind of went in other way, not the best way, but so much better moves in these situations were queen to h5, so having that idea of pinning the knight like previously, or queen to h8. And the idea behind queen to h8 is, of course, the rook has to move. If you play queen to g2, then knight to f6, with idea knight to g4, cutting off the rook from the queen, and the rook doesn't have anywhere to go. So you cannot play this. So after queen to h8, you should play rook to g2 or rook to g1. But after that, rook to g8, and when the rook moves, if he moves, then queen back to h3. So that's the whole idea. This is how you activate your pieces. This is how you go towards a better situation. You either force your opponent to trade pieces, or you just go into a more active position and then go and win the game. But none of that was played, because here knight to f6 was played, and this allowed bishop to g5. And bishop to g5 is a move that, yeah, threatens to capture the knight, but it also holds in itself a very nice idea from Lasker himself. Here, Nimzowitsch fell for the trap, and he played a knight to h5. And if you want, you can definitely think about the next move that Lasker made. I'll just mention that probably moves like this did award him just the title of the world champion, because here we have a moment of absolute brilliancy from Lasker. As you can see, White's position isn't looking all that good. The rook is attacked, and he isn't making all that many threats at the moment. The idea behind Nimzowitsch's plan is, if rook moves to h7, so the only square where he can go, of course, where he isn't attacked, that black can play knight to f4. And now you have to capture the queen, and knight captures on e2. So the material is now, equal. Okay, not equal. Black has a pawn, but the queens are off the board, and now it is once again much easier to go towards the winning endgame. But Lasker had another idea. After knight to h5, he didn't play rook to h7. He played rook to f7, and this is just now a problem for Nimzowitsch, because you have to capture. If you play rook to e8, then knight to e5 is coming, and you might not see it right away, but having the rook on the 7th rank and the queen being able to come to d2 or b4, and b4 immediately does seem like a problematic situation for white. If you capture, of course, then queen to e5, rook to c6, queen to c7 checkmate. It was a big threat and an unstoppable threat, so you cannot capture. If you play something like f4, even a knight to c6 is possible after pawn captures, and queen to e4, your position is falling apart. King to b7, queen to e5, rook to c8, and bishop to d8, and black will definitely lose this game. So yeah, even if you play something else like king to b8, as I've said, queen to d2, following queen to b4, and then making threats on b7 after you open up the position, knight to c6, it is just a lost position for black. So here you must capture the rook. Rook captures on f7, and of course queen to e6. The king is attacked, and if you don't cover, you will lose the rook. So rook to d7, and now the final blow, knight to e5. As you can see, black cannot defend this rook in any way, so not with the queen, not with the knight. He will lose the rook if he doesn't capture the knight. So here Nimzowitsch captured the knight, and this allowed a very nice queen to e8 check. And it was in this position where they actually agreed for a draw. And maybe you were thinking that Lasker is going to win this game, but not really. There isn't enough material to actually go and win this game. So here they settled for a draw. Because of this, as you can see, nice bishop to g5 move. The rook cannot cover on d8, because otherwise this is checkmate for white. So you have to play on c7, but then queen to e5, and if you go back, then the same idea. If you go here, queen to c5, you have to go to c7, queen to e5, and if you cover with the rook, then you're even losing the game, because after c5, queen will capture on d6, and black will just lose, because maybe even checkmate will follow soon. So this is pretty much it for this video and this game. Since I haven't been covering doing videos for some time. I just want to mention that for the future, I'm planning to do more videos from the St. Petersburg Tournament. I'm going to do videos on the World Championship match between Veselin Topalov and Vishwanathan Anand. Couple of more games from Bobby Fischer, a couple of more games from Anatoly Karpov. Of course, if you have some suggestions, definitely mention them in the comments down below. And one thing that I would like to pursue even more are the miniatures and the Tom Blunder series that I haven't been doing a video on that for a long time. So probably maybe one will come soon, since I now have more time, because I'm not going to watch football anymore since the World Cup is finished. And yeah, and of course the streams. When I manage over the weekend, I will definitely do a stream or two. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.